MP3 players are gone. Not gone like Nokia, not gone like Blockbuster, gone in a way that is almost embarrassing, because one day they were everywhere. Every teenager had one, every gym bag had one, every Christmas list had one, and then they just vanished, completely, quietly, like they never existed. No big funeral, no final sale, no goodbye, just gone. And the strangest part is nobody really noticed. Nobody mourned them. Nobody started a petition. The device that millions of people carried every single day for over a decade simply disappeared from the world, and life continued as if it had never been there at all. So what really happened to MP3 players? How does a device that changed the world just stop existing? The answer is one of the most fascinating stories in technology history. It started in 1997. A small Korean company called Saihan Information Systems built the world's first MP3 player. It was called the MP Man. It was small, it was expensive, and it held about 10 songs. 10 songs. By today's standards, that sounds ridiculous. But in 1997, 10 songs in your pocket without a CD, without a spinning disc, without batteries dying every 2 hours, that was a miracle. Before this, listening to music outside your home meant carrying a CD player the size of a brick. It skipped when you walked. It scratched your discs. It destroyed batteries in 2 hours. Music was heavy and fragile and frustrating. The MP Man changed that completely. People went crazy for it. Within 2 years, dozens of companies were making MP3 players. Creative, Sony, Samsung, Panasonic. Everyone wanted in. The devices got smaller. The storage got bigger. The prices dropped. The market exploded. But the real moment, the moment that changed everything forever, came in October 2001. Steve Jobs walked onto a stage in California and held up something small and white and impossibly clean. He looked calm, almost casual, like what he was about to say was no big deal. He said 5 words. 1,000 songs in your pocket. The iPod had arrived. The iPod did not just sell well. It became a cultural icon. Those white earbuds became one of the most recognizable images of the early 2000s. You could spot an iPod user from across a crowded street. White cable, pocket, ears. That combination meant one thing. That person was in their own world, and they were happy there. Apple sold 100 million iPods in just 6 years. Competitors panicked. Sony tried to fight back with the Walkman brand. Microsoft launched the Zune and spent hundreds of millions trying to compete. Creative released new models every few months. Samsung entered the market. Dozens of smaller companies flooded stores with cheaper options. The MP3 player market was one of the fastest growing markets on Earth. By 2006, carrying an MP3 player was as normal as carrying keys or a wallet. It was simply part of daily life. Everyone had one. Everyone used one. And nobody, not the companies making them, not the people buying them, not the analysts studying them, could imagine a world where that changed. Then, January 9th, 2007 arrived. Steve Jobs stood on a stage again. He told the audience he was going to introduce 3 new products. The first was a widescreen iPod with touch controls. The crowd cheered. The second was a revolutionary mobile phone. The crowd cheered louder. The third was a breakthrough internet device. Then he smiled and paused. He said these were not 3 separate devices. This was one device. And he reached into his pocket and held it up. The iPhone. People laughed in disbelief. They clapped. Some of them shouted. But sitting in that audience, none of them fully understood what had just happened. The MP3 player had just been sentenced to death. It just did not know it yet. The decline did not happen overnight. That is important to understand. In 2007 and 2008, people still used their iPods every day. The iPhone was expensive. Streaming music barely existed. Most people still bought songs individually and downloaded them to their devices. The MP3 player felt completely safe. But underneath the surface, things were shifting fast. In 2008, Apple launched the App Store. The iPhone stopped being just a phone and became a platform. It could do things no single device had ever done before. In 2009, Spotify launched and changed the music industry permanently. For a small monthly fee, every song ever recorded was available instantly. No downloading, no managing files, no worrying about storage space. Then, mobile internet got faster. Then data plans got cheaper. Then wireless earbuds became normal. One by one, every reason to keep carrying a separate music player disappeared. And millions of people started asking the same question at the same time. Why am I carrying two devices? That one question killed the MP3 player. Not a bad product. Not a scandal. Not a recall. Not a technical failure. Just one simple question that had no good answer. Why carry something that only plays music when the phone in your other pocket already plays music and also runs your entire life? There was nothing the MP3 player could say to that. It had one job. The smartphone did that job. And then it did 100 more. The numbers tell the story clearly. Apple sold 54 million iPods in 2008. The highest number ever. The peak. The moment before the fall. By 2012, sales had dropped by half. By 2015, Apple had stopped breaking out iPod sales separately in financial reports, which in business means the numbers are too embarrassing to show. Other companies had already stopped making MP3 players entirely. No announcements, no farewell. Just product pages quietly disappearing from websites. In May 2022, Apple published a short statement. The iPod Touch, the very last iPod ever made, was being discontinued immediately. No event, no tribute video, no retrospective, no thank you to the device that had made Apple cool again in the early 2000s. Just a paragraph on a web page that most people scrolled past without stopping. The device that had defined a generation ended with a press release. Here is the part that makes this story genuinely fascinating. The MP3 player did not fail. It never stopped working. It never broke down. It never let anyone down. It did exactly what it was built to do. Perfectly, every single day, right until the end. It played music. That was all. And it played music beautifully. That was the problem. The world moved to devices that do everything. The MP3 player could only ever do one thing. And in a world where a single device runs your music, your camera, your navigation, your social life, your bank account, and your work, a device built for only one purpose feels like going backward. This is the cruel irony at the heart of this story. The MP3 player was not killed by failure. It was killed by perfection. It was so completely built for one purpose that it had no room to grow into anything else. It was finished the day it was born. And in technology, when you stop growing, you start disappearing. The companies that built the best CD players in the world in 1995 did not save themselves. The companies that built the best MP3 players in the world in 2005 did not save themselves either. Technology does not reward being the best at yesterday's problem. Some people still use MP3 players today. Runners who do not want a phone bouncing in their pocket during a long run. People working in hospitals or factories where phones are not allowed. Parents who want their young children to have music without giving them a screen and internet access. Audiophiles who genuinely believe that dedicated players produce better sound quality than smartphones. And some people who simply want 1 hour of music without a single interruption. No messages, no notifications, no algorithm deciding what song you should be hearing right now based on data you never agreed to share. Just your playlist, your songs, in the order you chose, playing in complete peace. The smartphone replaced the MP3 player in almost every pocket on Earth. But it never quite replaced that feeling. The feeling of a device that existed for absolutely nothing except to give you your music. The MP3 player had about 25 years, born because carrying music was too hard and too heavy, grew because brilliant engineers believed people deserved something better, peaked as one of the most beloved and recognizable objects ever designed, and ended not because it failed, but because something larger arrived that could do everything it did and then 1,000 things more. That is the full story of the MP3 player. A device that gave an entire generation their music back, that made the morning commute feel shorter, that made the late-night walk home feel less lonely, that gave you a private world of sound in a public world of noise. A device that is sitting in a drawer somewhere right now, probably in your house, maybe yours,